To Each a Tempo, an Ace Attorney and Elite Beat Agents fanfiction, Chapter 19. Phoenix had no clue where Nexus Broadcasting Corporation's headquarters were, but the cab driver seemed to know. He knew it well enough to take what seemed like a meter-feeding long route, ignoring Phoenix and Maya as hard as possible. And so, it was quiet. Phoenix stared at his cell phone's scratched screen long seconds after Edgeworth's voice was gone.
I still can't believe this.
We'll manage. Miss Faye, can you get the briefcase open?
I think I can.
Maya's attention was riveted to the clicking combination numbers under her thumbs.
Eventually.
There was a lot to be said for optimism. Phoenix just couldn't think of any of it. Maya looked up from Pathos' briefcase, smiling sunny in the general direction of Phoenix's badge.
And you can call me Maya.
Alright. Now, Phoenix, Maya, I've got some specs on the Nexus building.
A click hammered like the final strike of an enter key.
And agents positioned at a safe distance. We'll provide as much intelligence as we can, but the comm lines will be in minimal use. And Pathos has never been an easy target for us to track.
He was so calm, like everything was going the way he wanted.
So that means you can't track him unless he's upset?
That was how music sense worked, wasn't it?
Distress is a powerful emotion. It gives people the strength to do incredible things. Other emotions can be sensed, but they don't tend to be as all-consuming in the target's mind.
Channeling is kind of like that. Sis feels like warm things and being strong and fresh-baked cake, so I've always been able to find her and know it's her. But sometimes I just couldn't reach her unless I was scared.
Couldn't reach. That's a good way to put it. It's difficult to reach the target unless there's emotion involved. And Pathos doesn't rattle easily, according to reports.
Maya sank in her seat, still turning lock temples.
He didn't seem that upset when you were doing the Magatama thing on him. I got the feeling like he was angry, but kind of cold too.
That certainly sounded like the man Phoenix faced. Someone perfectly composed. How else would he have avoided agent notice this long?
Phoenix, about your request to the detective. Be careful. If anything happens, I'll need 10 seconds to get all the lines down, and even then, we have no idea which frequencies he's working with.
But the agency's lines were taken down in brief bursts, with another amateur device. Maybe Pathos was using equipment like Gumshoes. Maybe Pathos had no idea which frequencies he was working with either. Phoenix nodded.
Yeah, I'll let you know, Foxx.
The inside of the cab fell to quiet, just the rumble of wheels and the world passing by, and Phoenix's heel tapping on the floor mat, and Maya's determined fiddling with the lock tumbles. Skyscrapers loomed closer. Fishing his handful of remaining evidence from his pockets, all the loose paper and business cards, Phoenix stared them down and thought, if Sior Pathos didn't rattle easily, every clue counted. Even among the glass-shining offices, the Nexus building towered. The taxi grumbled away, stirring up exhaust and fine street dust. If the company was so huge and successful, Phoenix would have thought they'd keep the place swept.
What's that logo even supposed to be?
Phoenix looked up from stuffing evidence back into his pockets. Maya clasped the briefcase handle with both hands, staring thoughtfully up at the green fluorescent flickering Nexus insignia. It looked like a capital letter N, flanked by swirling, things.
I don't know, I never really thought about it. But, Maya, we don't really have any time to...
All the side entrances require a key card, so do the major thoroughfares inside. You'll need the front desk to grant you access. And the Nexus logo is supposed to be stylized vines to represent a commitment to growth.
Wow. Is there anything the agency doesn't have records of?
I found that on Wixology, actually. Phoenix, Maya, we need to focus. An agent sighted Pathos entering the building seconds ago, and his plan is still a mystery to us.
Pathos wanted the Elite Beat agency taken down. The specifics didn't matter much after that. Maya's dark hair and purple robes vanished inside, and Phoenix followed. The Nexus lobby positively dripped class, all gleaming marble and gold edging, and the clean lines of very uncomfortable-looking armchairs. Maya's sandals echoed ferociously. By the time the two of them reached the curved marble slab forming the front desk, the secretary's cordial smile looked strained.
Can I help you?
We're here on very important business.
Look, we need to meet someone.
You'll need to be more specific. Is someone expecting you?
Give a low-key excuse, Phoenix. We're not here to cause a fuss. I'm searching for applicable agency allies now.
No causing a fuss, which meant someone who could pass unnoticed. A lawyer investigating a murder wouldn't work. Neither would a lawyer chasing someone dangerous. Phoenix stammered. The secretary calmly shot him full of holes with her stare.
You weren't informed that we were coming?
Unless you're with the network luncheon?
And you definitely aren't, and your strangely dressed friend isn't either, she didn't need to say.
I don't see you scheduled for today.
A luncheon? There must be extra staff present for that.
That definitely gave Phoenix an idea. A flash of an idea, like gold buttons.
Oh, yes. We're here for the luncheon.
The secretary carried on staring. They seemed to be losing altitude at an alarming pace.
Well, it's not really for the luncheon. I guess it's more like... I guess my boss didn't tell you. Just give me 1 second.
Tugging Maya by her sleeve, he headed for a safer wing of the lobby. The decor started seeming faintly ridiculous once they reached a dead end. This was an entire glitz-dripping hallway leading to 2 payphones. Someone must have been paid very well to design such an understatement.
Do you have an idea, Nick?
Maya lit up like she had been offered fries with that.
If it's an idea for getting in on a business luncheon, I think he does. Would you like me to prep him, Phoenix?
Phoenix dug out his cell phone and the business card.
It's alright, I can ask.
Foxx murmured agreement. Maya grinned. After dialing, Phoenix hardly got the phone to his ear before he heard a familiar voice.
Salutations, and thank you for choosing extravagant wedding services. How may I assist you?
Mr. Vanderspiegle.
Yes?
A smile tugged Phoenix's face. Who'd have thought this day would come so soon?
It's Phoenix Wright. I need to ask a favor.
There was something very satisfying about watching the secretary pick up that call.
Yes, Mr. Vanderspiegle. Yes,
The secretary looked between Phoenix and Maya, blinking.
Yes, they match that descript... I see. Yes, sir.
More looking between Phoenix and Maya. They weren't that odd-looking a duo, were they?
No, the guest card allows access to the sunroom. I made sure after last time.
She clamped the phone between ear and shoulder long enough to scrabble underneath some documents, and thrust a forest-colored keycard into Phoenix's hand.
Be sure to return it before you leave. Elevators are to your left. No, Mr. Vanderspiegle, not you. Yes, sir.
She paused and blinked harder.
James Reeve? I believe so. Yes, at that last reunion on my father's side. My, it's a small world.
Alright, let's get going before she changes her mind.
It wasn't until reaching the elevators, enormous doors too shiny to be real gold, that Phoenix realized he had no clue where to go.
Where to now, Foxx?
I'm getting an infra transmission now. He's on the ground floor somewhere... narrow hallways, maybe? He's passing storage rooms.
Ground floor. That was a good starting point. Nodding, Phoenix looked around over the soft-lit walls.
Here, Nick.
Maya peered at the scanning device beside a door, one plain enough to be practically hidden.
If it's locked, there's got to be something good inside.
Well, he couldn't argue with that logic. With a swipe of the keycard, the scanner blipped cheerfully. Maya heaved the door open to reveal just the kind of hallways they were looking for. But after a few twists of corridors, endless streaming painted concrete, and a crumb-littered staff room, the sinking feeling grew. Phoenix had no idea how long it had been. 2 minutes? 10?
Anything, Foxx?
He must have calmed down. We've lost him. Last we know, he was somewhere west of your location.
West. Oh, Phoenix could just look for moss on a tree then. He raked a hand into his hair and looked around at the halls branching away.
This one?
Maya clicked another tumble on the briefcase and looked back up at him, nodding backward. That hall was as good as any.
Might as well.
Phoenix turned toward Maya. It took a strange, crisp instant to sink in. A dark-clothed figure burned into Phoenix's memory, vanishing around a corner as Phoenix had been turning. He looked back, saw nothing but plain hallway, and was sure anyway.
There he is. This way.
He followed the Phantom, Maya at his heels.
That hall leads to the central broadcast station. He's not headed for a studio. He's going to input data directly to the nationwide feeds. But how could he? All he has is your notes, Phoenix.
Is that bad for him?
Phoenix skidded around a corner. Fluorescence whipped by overhead. Adrenaline ran hot in him now.
He'd have to manually process it, type it in, maybe scan it, but why would he do that? Getting in front of a camera would be faster.
Maybe he's just winging it?
Of course. Pathos hadn't gotten any more time to plan than they had. Phoenix slowed, eyeing more passages forking away. Maya scuffling to a stop behind him.
Straight ahead, Phoenix.
The chase resumed, blackened windows whipping by. Phoenix began to wonder how he would know a broadcast station when he saw one. A door burst open beside them, crashing against the wall. A huge figure lunged out, and Maya yelped. Terror closed in Phoenix's throat. Freeze! Police! Then Gumshoe lowered his yellow frequency detector. Had he seriously mistaken it for his badge? And scratched his head.
Oh, it's just you, pal.
Detective, you nearly gave us a heart attack.
Bristling determination filled Gumshoe again.
We're after the suspect, and we're right on his tail. He's not getting away this time, pal.
Sharp-ringing footsteps approached, and Edgeworth came from around Gumshoe. Regal, even when he was flushed with exertion, a cold flash in his eyes.
Right, Maya. We found Pathos attempting to make a broadcast, and he fled. He's obviously more familiar with this building than we are. A chase will get us nowhere.
What to do next? Phoenix's thoughts raced. He looked up and down the bare halls.
We were following him, too. He's headed for the central broadcast station.
He must be close. It's strong here, sir.
Gumshoe fiddled with the clicking dial on the detector. It hit Phoenix like frost. A detector! And the agency communicator suddenly burned its presence against his ear.
Oh, you're following electronic signals? With a frequency detector?
Central station's ahead, to your right. Good luck, team. Over and out.
Really strong here, actually. Maybe the signals...
Gumshoe clicked the dial further, and his brows twisted.
Mr. Edgeworth? I think I lost it, sir.
Instead of grumbling about a pay cut, though, Edgeworth regarded Phoenix. It was that first day in the lobby, and all the wary trust in the world.
You said Pathos was carrying a transmission device, right?
Just who had Edgeworth and Gumshoe been chasing? Pathos' transmissions, or the agency's? Or both? Or something else? It didn't matter now. Phoenix shook his head.
Yeah, we think so. He's definitely been trying to disrupt communication lines to cover his tracks. But this building, there'd be a lot of signals went there. We know he's headed for the central broadcast station. We have to stop him.
It's this way, isn't it? Come on, let's go.
Fox's last advice would have to count. Ahead to your right. 4 people's running feet made a stampede in the long hall. An echoing thunder.
Got it! I found it again, sir!
Gumshoe stuffed the detector into his pocket as he pulled ahead, green coattails flapping.
It's the same signal as in that camera room up ahead. We've got him now.
Camera room?
Pathos had tried to make a Quaker broadcast. He seized any opportunity he was given, and if he had a moment alone, if he had all the information he needed...
The door on the right!
Gumshoe wound back for a charge against it, and rushed the door as Edgeworth reached it, pulling a keycard from his pocket. The electronic bip and heavy crash overlapped each other, Gumshoe bellowing even as he fell into the room.
Freeze! I must be going.
Not again. He couldn't escape again! Phoenix skidded to the doorway, nearly tripping on the recovering Gumshoe. There was Pathos across the room, lit cold by television screens, smiling, pulling a heavy door closed behind him.
No!
But it was too late. He and Edgeworth rushed in, and the door slammed final behind Pathos.
He's locked it.
Edgeworth looked up from the door's handle, glaring back over his shoulder.
There's no card access from this side. Detective?
Sir?
Gumshoe regained his feet, lit with realization, and patted his pockets.
Oh, right!
He fished the detector out and began to fiddle. The open door drifted half-closed behind him, slowly, like its battered hinges ached. So the four of them stood alone in the broadcast station's hum, while Pathos made his getaway through the labyrinth. Phoenix raked at his hair and looked to the screens, scenery and characters' silent moving mouths, scrolling code, colored bars, and at the far end, a smaller screen was full of green glowing text. He went to it. Maya already had the same idea, scampering ahead of him to peek at the screen.
Pathos was writing this, Nick. It's the same as your notes about that thing.
Well, if that text wasn't plastered all over the TV display screens, and it didn't seem to be, then they hadn't completely failed. And there lay Phoenix's briefcase on the control console, open, its contents scattered like a burst trash bag. He watched his own hands gather the contents. He stuffed the papers back to some kind of order, and laid the microphone and side towels and the 1,000 little things back inside where they ought to be.
Is that all of it?
All the evidence was in order. And the tree papers Maya just handed him, plus the 6 Phoenix gathered, made 9. So he was missing 1. Hopefully just 1. He liked to think he could count. Phoenix spotted it on the floor and moved for it, but Edgeworth was already straightening, picking up the poor battered sheet and offering it. He was staring Phoenix down hard enough to break skin. Phoenix accepted the sheet and tried to smile.
You should keep a closer eye on your evidence, Wright.
Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, master of the obvious. Phoenix nodded.
Thanks, Edgeworth. I mean, for all of this.
You must have some valuable information for Mr. Pathos to go to such lengths trying to share it.
He had no idea. Even though the agency's secrets had been literally in his hands a few seconds ago. Nodding, Phoenix tucked the sheets into his briefcase with its fellows.
It's about my client's past.
And present, and future, and the future of the entire agency.
I'm sure you'll share this information if it becomes pertinent.
The room hummed quiet. A prickle brushed down Phoenix's back. He looked back to Edgeworth, and that stare hadn't changed. Edgeworth had shared confidential files with him before, and searched by his side.
I will share it with you, if that's what we need to crack this case.
The communicator's wires itched. He managed to wait until Edgeworth looked away to scratch around it.
Okay, I think I killed all of his notes.
You mean deleted?
Sure, that too.
Detective.
I can't find anything but TV broadcast signals, sir. Nothing like the signal we were following.
The trail was going cold while they stood there. Edgeworth and Gumshoe discussed alternatives and how quickly more police would arrive. It wouldn't be quick enough. And with the comlink silent in his ear all the way home, louder than the bus engine, louder than the clicking combination tumbles, Phoenix stared at his evidence and wished for a plan. To Each a Tempo was written by Pyrasaur. Ace Attorney and Elite Beat Agents are owned by Capcom and Inis, respectively. The narrator for this story is Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Phoenix Wright is Lastni. The voice of Maya Fey is Miki. The voice of Miles Edgeworth is Lazy Ace Dia. The voice of Dick Gumshoe is Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Agent J is also Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Agent Foxx is Galen Skibyak. The voice of Cecilius T. Vanderspiegle is Pcasao. The voice of Sior Pathos is Todd Wilson. The voice of the Secretary is Airbricka. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.